Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to Monday equipment video, the latest in the series of using non-magical equipment as treasure, and not just in your low-level games. As you'll see here, there are plenty of ways to incorporate vehicles as treasure to your higher level campaigns, game sessions, whatever you want to call it. I broke these down into your basic categories. You've got your land vehicles, your ocean water going vessels, river boats, what have you, aircraft, and then some odds and ends that you might find odd and maybe the end of your campaign if you don't use them carefully, or the beginning of a brand new campaign. Let's go right into the land-based vehicles, your carts, your wagons, your chariots. In the lower levels, finding a free cart, that's maybe 50 gold, if it works, and even if you have to pull it with your taking turns with your crew, your men, your characters. Maybe you don't have any NPCs yet or any henchmen or hireling. Two fighters got to pull the equipment. It beats the hell out of trying to carry a treasure chest, a two-man, carry it back home through the forest, over the river, that kind of thing. To grandmother's house you go. Wagons, same thing. If you find a free wagon, that's maybe a couple hundred gold, and you hook it up to your horses. Now you're traveling in style. Chariots, while they may seem kind of out of place in a lot of your fantasy games, having one in your warband or your caravan or something like that could be a fast attack vehicle that in the right circumstances might still be quite usable for defending the caravan, defending your keep, your castle, even defending a small town or village. Having one of those maneuver around town or through town, things like that. There's all kinds of fun that can be had with those kinds of things, whether it be for ease of transport, increasing your cargo capacity, being able to move faster. Those little advantages are potentially game changing at low level, and as you get higher level, they open up even more doors for your players and their henchmen and their hirelings. Boats, ships, sailing vessels, things like that seem to be, from my experience, very unpopular. Everyone seems to be absolutely deathly afraid of going into any water deeper than knee deep for some reason. But when you do have those players and their characters that want to brave the ocean, the river, etc., owning one of those vehicles, or finding one, or commandeering one, or rescuing one, or clearing one out as a haunted ghost ship or something like that, only to find out that it's just a couple of guys in rubber masks, and now you've got yourself a vessel all to your own. Now that you've kicked off the fake ghost pirates or what have you. Again, game changer, and opens up a world of possibilities and new places to adventure in. In the old video games I used to play, being able to go to the islands sometimes took a lot of resources and a lot of playtime, just to be able to go there. And then, when you finally went to these little islands, there'd be something spectacular hidden there that made it all worth the while. And as GM, I'm inclined to do the same. If you see an island off in the middle of nowhere on one of my maps, rest assured there's probably something really cool there, one way or the other. Now, the third category, aircraft. I don't mean like the Zeros and B-52 bombers that I've been running in my Bright Sea campaign, anything like that. Although you're more than welcome to take those ideas. Today, my players, we just finished an adventure where they are aboard a hobgoblin helicarrier of sorts. They call it the Dorito of Death because it's a triangular airship. They have no idea how it flies, but they're up and they're inside it fighting a bunch of hobgoblin-y things and whatnot. But let's just go with stuff that's completely feasible while not getting hung up with the argument, well, we didn't develop this until then. Well, on my D&D worlds, maybe they developed the hot air balloons sooner and decided to start using them for various purposes. Surveillance, spying, just good old-fashioned travel. You got a gust of wind spell and a hot air balloon, you might be able to, haul ass across the countryside and not have to worry about all the same wandering monsters. Sure, a rock or a dragon might come along your way, but if you've got a fly and an invisibility spell, maybe you'll be okay. Maybe if the area doesn't have any of those kind of creatures nearby, having hot air balloons just, only a couple 100 feet off the ground kind of thing could be very, very useful. Maybe you've got goblins that have developed hang glider technology, or lizardmen that swoop down from the cliff faces to attack and raid caravans with their glider wings or some such. Who knows? Maybe the players figure out how to make a hang glider of their own to escape something chasing them through the jungle or the woods. I had a character that actually had kind of like a Batman / Moon Knight non-magical hang glider cloak that I had picked up in my travels, and it was so much fun playing a scoundrel in the metropolis. I forget the name of the place, but I could do second, third story jobs, and kind of like a non-magical ring of feather falling. Something you guys can borrow from this old GM if you like. Then I'm going to go a little into the little bit higher tech things that you could easily justify in your world. I ran a world a long time ago where there were rumblings underground and strange sightings of glowing-eyed tunnel worms bursting through the ground and attacking the villagers and things like that. It turned out it was misconstrued steam engines and the equivalent of like a primitive dwarven subway system. They were kind of encroaching into other people's territory. Didn't want anybody to know just yet that they were building a underground railroad subway system to mine for gold and gems, because they had found a vein of some material and they were following it and using just good old-fashioned steam and coal-burning technology. Dwarves would be, in a fantasy world, really like the first people to figure out and discover and be able to use coal. And you could still keep your D&D fantasy world exactly the way most D&D fantasy worlds go, even with incorporating steam engines, coal burning locomotives and that sort of thing. All it's going to do is just make your fast travel a little more interesting, with a fantasy version of a railroad. Maybe that's part of the adventure is help scout the path to start building this transatlantic or transcontinental railroad from the dwarves to the elves, or from the dwarves to the humans, etc., just to make travel time faster, still maintaining that feudalistic society. But now people can travel faster and farther with fewer wandering monsters. Something to think about for your games when it comes to vehicles, especially when your players are grumbling about having to spend weeks and weeks and weeks traveling from their little town to the big scary dungeon on the other side of the map. Some of these might make your trip a little more interesting, a little more exciting, a little more unique, instead of the standard walking or horseback riding through the forest to wherever they're going. Let me know what you think in the comments section, folks. I will be back about 45 minutes with the Monday edition of Second Breakfast. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Love you. I'll see you guys all in the funny papers.